What's going on, YouTube? This is Lawman 745 with Right Cycle Works, and coming to you today with an update on the FSE450. She's got almost 900 miles, so you know what that means? It's time for a brutally honest review. Stay tuned. Alright everybody, thanks for tuning in. If you could, like, comment, subscribe. It goes a long way to helping the channel. So here we are. We're back with the FSE450R from GPX. I've had this thing for about 4 months now. We have 880 miles, 880.6 miles. It's an absolutely beautiful day today. Just got back from a ride, met a bunch of guys down on Canane Loop, Brian Holmes and his crew. They did a moto ride and camp for the last 2 days, and I couldn't get down there until this morning to meet with them. Left at 6 o'clock in the morning, about froze my butt off to get down there and meet them, and had a pretty good ride. Come back towards Elkins and Parsons, and yeah, it was a good time. So figure it's been a little bit since I've done an update on this bike, and I figured it was high time to do that. So now it's got almost 900 miles on it. I think I've pretty well formed my opinions on the GPX 450, and figured I'd share it with you guys and let you know what all I've done to it, what's happened to it, things that have fallen off, broke, what I've fixed, issues I've found, just an overall my humble opinion on everything. So I guess I should start out by saying this hasn't been an easy 880 miles on this bike. I've done some commuting on it to work, which is about 5 miles away. Not too bad, just right across town. My truck actually broke down about 3 weeks ago, and I rode this thing to work every single day for about 2 weeks. So, and it handled that no problem. It's a very good commuter bike, that's for sure. So let's see, we'll go through some of the stuff that I've modified on it since the last time you guys have seen it. So probably the first major mod that I did on this thing was I put a KTM 500 EXC silencer on. If you guys watch my first review video, you hear me talk about how loud the thing is, and man, it's so much quieter with this exhaust on. On the KTM, you can see right here the silencer is actually a slip fit on the mid pipe on the KTM. On the GPX, the silencer and mid pipe are all one piece, and it's a slip fit at the front there. So I did have to make a little mid pipe to fit that. Bolts to the subframe, just like the stock GPX one does. No issues there. Definitely, it is so much quieter. It's almost like you can get away with trespassing on this bike now. Don't recommend that. I'll start it up here real quick so you guys can hear how quiet it is and get it fine and neutral. Big difference. It makes it a lot more rideable. It actually feels to me like it gave it a little bit more low range too. It actually runs, I can't really tell a difference running wise. If anything, it feels like it runs better. I got these Nelson rig bags off of a buddy of mine. These ones are missing some of the straps and stuff that I really need to set it up right, because it needs to come back farther. It's a little bit too farther forward. But my wonderful wife actually bought me a brand new set for our anniversary, so I haven't had a chance to throw those on yet. I need to do that. So exhaust and those saddlebags that's pretty much it as far as mods that I've done to it. So I guess with that, we'll go to everybody's burning question. What's broke? What's fell off? What's been crap? What have I found that just isn't up to snuff on this thing? Well, there's a few things. If you think you're going to buy one of these bikes like this and get KTM or Husky quality, you're not. That's not to say that this thing's a total piece of junk. It's not, but it does have a few little issues here and there. We'll start with I'll go through with everything that's broke on it or I've had trouble with in order. Figure that might help everybody the best. So one of the first problems I had with this thing was the handlebars. The handlebar mounts are rubber, and it's not really the best quality rubber. I ended up buying a set of solid bar mounts for a Husqvarna and put them on. They fit. I did have to grind on them just a little bit because it's like the coating of the powder coat or whatever's on these triple clamps is a little bit thicker than what the factory Husky was, so it was a little bit of an interference fit, so I had to do a little homegrown machining on that to get it to fit. And even still, I reused the factory bar clamps and bolts with the solid mounts, and you can see it still moves. Those bolts are as tight as I can possibly get them, and it still has some movement to it. So I don't know if the threads have stretched on those bolts or what the issue is, but it's definitely something annoying. What you have is on the bottom bar mount there, there's a Torx head style bolt, and this thing's got Torx heads all over it, and it actually goes up into that right there, which is just like a cap nut on the bottom of the bolt. So I think what I'm going to try to do is get some like grade 8 Allens and some actual big nuts, like lock nuts on the bottom. I'm going to swap that around and see if that takes care of the problem. May end up getting one of those Mako 360 bar mounts that I keep hearing about, because those are pretty sweet. Let's see. I don't know if you can see it here. There's a place on this rim where it actually bent a little bit. It got a flat spot. I think it's right there. Now, I haven't really noticed anything as far as spokes loosening up right there or tires going flat or anything like that. It's been completely fine. But I mean, that is something to look for. And I had problems with that on the SSR as well. It was super bad about spokes loosening up, and the rims were all bent. It got so bad I ended up having to put a set of rims off of a CRF on it. So that was the front, and on the back I had one spoke actually break right there near the rim lock. I heard something dangling one day whenever I was riding, and found out that it actually broke off from the hub side, and it was still attached there on the nipple. I've got new spokes in there for it. I just haven't had a chance to really put that on yet. So I was hearing some weird like chain noise, drivetrain noise. It was a slapping sound, and it was with vibration, and I could not figure out what the heck it was. Well, it's one of those deals where I wasn't worried about it until I figured whatever was making the noise was going to eventually fall off or break, and it did today actually on the ride. The chain slider, the bolt is come completely out, and it actually took the threads with it when it came out, so gonna have to drill and tap the swing arm there and put a slightly bigger bolt. We were on a ride there a couple of weeks ago, and there's a pretty awesome little creek that we ride down through, and you actually jump off of this high wall to go down in the creek. And I jumped off, and when I did, it was too late, but there was a big pointed rock, and I landed the skid plate right on the rock. You can actually see it broke it there. And on these, there's a little clip that's plastic welded onto that piece right there. It goes up on the frame. That's actually what clamps the back of the skid plate up, and that's what broke. It snapped it off right there. So I've got a piece of stainless steel in the garage. I'm gonna fab up a little bit heavier duty skid plate, but I can't knock it. It did its job, man. It protected the bike, and sucks that it broke, but it did what it was supposed to do. Then lastly, the last issue I've had with this thing was I was having an intermittent problem where the fuel pump wasn't kicking on. And it was really weird because the fuses were good, everything seemed fine, and you would take the fuse out for the fuel pump and put it back in, and then voila, it magically would start working again. And I went on a big long 200-mile ride out towards St. Mary's one day, or a couple of weeks ago, and it did it one time on that ride, never again. Went out with Dad on his birthday for a little quick ride, and it did it again that day too. And I knew that something was going on, and it was a matter of time before something really showed its head, and it was a fuel pump relay. So the factory relay went bad. I took it apart. It's a sealed relay, so you pretty much have to break it to get it apart. And there wasn't any kind of corrosion or moisture or anything I can see that got into the relay, because I mean, honestly, it looks like it's sealed pretty well. But yeah, no go. So temporarily, I got an automotive relay. I think it's for a set of fog lights, and found on the relay where the contacts were, and just matched it up with what was on the GPX on the factory wiring, and made a little adapter harness, and it works. So until the stock style relay comes, I'll be running that for now. Trying to think of what else as far as like things breaking or falling off. I mean, a few plastic bolts here and there. I mean, nothing major. The one thing that was a little concerning one day was the freaking steering stem nut. I was riding down the road, and I heard something jingling. I looked down, and this thing was unthreading itself going down the road. And I was like, that's not good. And so stopped immediately, checked it. It was loose. I remember when I first set the bike up, checking that nut and make sure it was torqued to spec and everything was good. But it did come loose. So I ended up putting a little bit of Loctite on it, torquing it back to spec. Haven't had any issues since then, but that's definitely something a little scary, But I mean, it is what it is when you buy one of these bikes, or a clone bike like this. So future plans: get the other bags put on it, full wrap around handguards, and get rid of these little flag handguards. I mean, they're okay for what they are, but I mean, you really hit something hard, you're gonna really hurt your hand with those. Something I don't like about these is they use a flathead style bolt to bolt them in, and it's the same on the clutch side too. So that's your actual like perch bolt, and it has like a capture nut inside the plastic part of the handguard, and it screws down in. And that thing, you have a bear of a time trying to tighten up a flathead screw. I mean, it's 2020. We're not in the 1900s anymore. I think we can get a little bit better screw than that. So I actually had this side refused to tighten up, and I got tired of messing with it, and I dug through my old stuff, and I actually found a Moose Easy Pull lever, which that's like unobtainium now, so makes that clutch a lot better. And so yeah, definitely need a set of handguards. it's time for new chain and sprockets. The same guy I got the bags from, he actually gave me his stock rear sprocket off of his 500 EXC, which I think is a 46, I think 45. So stock front sprocket and a 45 tooth rear. For everything that I do in my state of West Virginia, which has a lot of hills and up and downs and stuff, 45's a little too low on the back. I think like a 47 would probably be ideal, because right now, unless you're on a long straightaway, 6 gear is pretty much unusable, and first gear is a little too high. So I'd like to gear it down just a little bit more. Yeah, as far as you know, your regular bike review things, I'm gonna just go down through the list. Chassis wise, it feels like a Husky or a KTM. If you like that, you're gonna like this bike. I've always been a Yamaha guy when it comes to my race bikes. Was never really a KTM fan, but this thing's grown on me. It actually fits me a little bit better than the Yamahas that I used to ride. And I actually got on a YZ250 there a couple of weeks ago and felt completely out of place on it. So it's crazy how fast you actually get used to things. So yeah, chassis wise, I mean, plastic, everything, it's like a KTM or a Husky. If you like that, you're gonna like this. Suspension, it's definitely better than the Fast Ace stuff that I had on the SSR. It's pretty good. It's, once you really start pushing this thing hard, you're going to find that it's valved a little too soft. I'm 6'2", 230 pounds. I can stand to lose a little bit of weight, but it's soft for me. I've played with the clickers a little bit and got it pretty good, but if you hit a really hard G out or try to jump this thing and flat land it, it's going to bottom out. But I mean, it's not really made for that, you know. It's a dual sport bike to me. So as far as like dual sports go, this suspension is really freaking good. Brakes continue to be amazing. Best brakes I've ever had on a bike, and that's, I mean, bar none. This thing, you breathe on that pedal and it will stop you right now. Electronics, yeah, I mean, that fuel pump relay going bad sucks, but I mean, as far as everything else goes, blinkers, headlight, everything else, horn, everything works like it's supposed to. The headlight's freaking crazy bright. You know, controls, I'd like to see a little bit better clutch perch setup. Shifter, everything else is good, but yeah, I think we could do a little bit better job on the clutch myself. Engine, I'm a fan. This is a pretty nice little motor. It is no rip your arm off 450 power, but I mean, it holds its own, man. It likes to be lugged down low, but there's still plenty of over rev where it keeps wanting to tractor and pull. It really likes to be short shifted. So think of it like an old XR600 or something, you know. Once you hit about 34 or 4,000 RPM, you upshift. She just keeps tractoring right along. So I'm a huge fan. It's a really good motor. It really is. It's freaking huge too. I mean, you can see how big that engine is. I had the gas tank off to check the wiring and stuff for that fuel pump relay when it wasn't working, and just kind of get a better idea of just how big that motor is. It is huge. I mean, look at the clutch on that. It's ginormous. But I mean, everything works good. So what's my brutal overall opinion on it? I like it. It's good for the price. I mean, I still don't think you're going to find anything brand new that will perform as well as this thing does for that price. Put it up against a used KTM or Husky for the same price. Well, it depends on how it was taken care of. I mean, it's pretty subjective when you compare a used bike to a brand new one like this one. I mean, I really do like it. It's an interesting conversation piece, that's for sure. I get so much crap from everybody I ride with for riding the fortune cookie bike, they call it. But I mean, everybody's going to have problems. Is this something that you're going to get and do absolutely no maintenance to and just ride the hell out of it every single day of your life? No. Bring your toolkit. There's stuff that you're going to have to work on a little bit, maybe slightly more than a normal KTM or a Husky or a Jap bike, but I mean, it's not really that bad. So I mean, keep an open mind. It is what it is. I mean, you're not using $18,000 worth of research and development here, you know. So I mean, it's all up to you. Do you want a good bike for a good price? Then yes, this is for you. Do you never want to worry about maintenance and you don't really like, you know, what China's doing right now? Then this bike is probably not for you. But I'm a glutton for punishment. I like oddball things, so it definitely fits my little niche. I'm really bad about not keeping bikes very long. I think the only thing I'll never get rid of is my XR650R, but I like this thing. But I'm kind of thinking I want a bigger bike. Want something that maybe me and the wife can ride. I'd love to have a Tenere 700. I think that'd be my dream bike right now. But the GPX is good. As long as it continues to treat me well, I'm going to keep spending my money on it and keep supporting GPX. And I mean, that's the other thing too. You know, Gary Goodwin is a heck of a guy, the owner of the company. He's always on Facebook answering anybody's questions on these things. He's helped me out on a lot of stuff. I mean, you could not ask for better customer service from the company, and I'm not kidding at all. I don't think there'll ever be another motorcycle company that offers as good a customer service as what Gary does. So big shout out to Gary and his crew. But to go along with that, I mean, they listen to their customers, and things that go wrong, they improve and upgrade. I just wish they wouldn't do it so soon, so we would have to maybe save a little bit of our money. There's already a 2021 and a half of the FSE450R and all the other GPXs. They have aluminum subframes, which is a huge plus for me because you actually might be able to put a rack on the back instead of the composite subframe. I think they fixed a couple of the other little issues that these bikes have had. But I mean, that just goes to show you that they're on top of it, and they listen to their customers, and they make sure that they fix all the little issues that happen. So moving forward, you have a better bike. And I'm telling you, not only GPX, but a lot of these other Chinese companies, they're really stepping their game up. Their products are a lot better. Their parts supply is a lot better. They listen to their customers. You can actually get things for them now. So I really liken it to back in the 70s when the Japanese bikes started first coming out, and everybody was saying, you know, oh, those pieces of junk, you can't get parts, not going to last. Look where we are now. So who knows where we're going to be, you know, 15, 20 years from now. I would definitely say that so far GPX is definitely the top of the line company when it comes to Chinese style motorcycles, and if they keep going like they're going, they're going to be around for a long time, and I hope they are. It's a good group of people, and hopefully they keep up the good work. So final word, it's a good bike. May not be for some people. It's going to have some issues, but it's nothing major, and it's going to do what you ask it to do. Just be prepared to deal with a few little quirks here and there. So that's about it. Well, I hope you guys liked it. If you have any other questions or anything you want to know about this bike, feel free to ask, man. I'm always on my phone, so anytime you put a comment or anything on YouTube, it automatically comes to me, and I usually respond right away. So I thank everybody for the support. Got over 120 subscribers like in the last 4 or 5 months, which is huge for me. I don't get paid to do any of this stuff. It's just a hobby, but when you guys like and subscribe and share and comment on my stuff, that really shows that you want me to keep doing that kind of stuff, and that's why I do it, man. I do it for you guys, and I appreciate everything. So with that, I'm gonna get back to washing this thing and clean it up a little bit and get ready for the next ride. We got a big ride coming up in 2 weeks. Headed down to Shenandoah Valley for a 2-day moto camp, so stay tuned for some footage from that, and we'll see you guys later. Thanks.